Hello and welcome to Thought for September the 3rd. Our readings are 2 Kings chapter 8, Lamentations chapter 4, and 2 Corinthians chapters 1 and 2. And our thought is, but that was to make us rely on God. Often as parents and grandparents, we shield our worries from our children, who can sense the attitudes of older people and acute anxieties transmit into their minds, so that they need the reassurance of faithful parents. When such is absent, they are perplexed. In this ungodly 21st century, genuine reassurance that comes from real faith will become more and more necessary, both for ourselves and for us to set an example and try to reassure children and any whose faith is faltering. Such reassurance must be seen to have a sound foundation. There is no doubt that beginning with the COVID era, over the last couple of years, the anxiety level of adults and children have risen. And now, with growing violence seen on our streets, coupled with a world at war in various places, the need to shield our children as much as possible is paramount. Now, our reading today in 2 Corinthians chapters 1 and 2 illustrates how Paul puts into a positive light the great affliction he and others had recently experienced. He looked at such afflictions from God's perspective. He writes, "For we do not want you to be ignorant, brothers, of the affliction we experienced in Asia, for we were so utterly burdened beyond our strength that we despaired of life itself. Indeed, we felt that we had received the sentence of death, but that was to make us rely not on ourselves, but on God." Chapter 1, verses 8 and 9. Paul in Romans chapter 10, verse 17, he says, "Faith comes by hearing, and hearing through the word of Christ." Faith is not a static frame of mind. It must either grow or fade away. The mind that possesses faith is a mind that needs to be exercised, like we exercise our muscles. The time is surely going to come, and maybe quite soon, when, if we have not learnt to rely on God, the oil in our lamps of faith will be found lacking. Finally, note another point Paul makes. He asks the question, "Do I make my plans according to the flesh?" Verse 17. This question makes us think of today's political dramas and never-ending conflict of opinions. Paul sees human planning as being ready to say yes, yes, and no, no at the same time. Chapter 1, verses 17 to 19. Only those who know the true gospel and practice genuine reliance on God know how to think and plan positively for the future, especially their eternal future. Paul concludes by stating in verse 24, "We work with you for your joy, for you stand firm in your faith. May that also be true of us." Well, thank you once again for joining us for Thought for the Day, where together we can open up the pages of God's Word, knowing that Word to be a lamp to our feet and a light to our path.